Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yep, that's me. C'est moi. It's September 7, 2022, and it's a gray day in Pittsburgh, PA. As far as weather goes, we're lucking out. Jeez. You know, as I've told you, I don't watch a lot of news, but I'm assuming now that a whole hunk of national and international news is just weather. And you wonder if, like, the Republicans and the conservatives and the right wingers and the science is crap crowd, if now they are willing to acknowledge that something slightly unusual might be going on. Oh, maybe they do, but they say that we had it's nothing that we did. We in no way are culpable. What is it about them that they can't handle being seen as anything but righteous, ever making mistakes, their history cleansed so that there is no hint of untoward activity, or that includes slavery, of course. What is it with them? I see Jack Nicholson in my Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth. That I actually came upon something that, oh, God knows enough's been written about it, but this is from one of my new favorite writers. He writes for The Atlantic, Tom Nichols. And he wrote a piece about how Biden's speech was the speech no president should ever have to give. And I talked about that a little bit yesterday, but I didn't go into the fact that he also was critical of parts of the speech. And frankly, the parts he was critical about, I was critical about as well. I don't know if I didn't say anything about it, but I was dismayed by two things. I was dismayed by the Marines flanking him, because I've never seen, it just seemed odd to, although he might have just been, I don't know if he had anything to do with it. It's like you're giving a speech about democracy and you militarize it by these two guys standing there, Marines. I don't know. It just seemed strange to me. The other thing, but that might have been, again, Biden, well, the people around him would have had to have something to do with it. And the other thing is toward the end, he all of a sudden, like, started sounding like he was doing a stump speech. He started talking about abortion and some other things that were clearly, like, I thought, no. And this gave, this helped the broadcast networks who didn't carry the speech because they said it was too political. It gave them something to hold on to, because all of a sudden it wasn't about the threat to our democracy. He threw in stuff that I thought, no, don't go there. Anyway, Nichols agreed with me about that, which I was pleased to see. But overall, he found it a pretty good speech, as did I. And one of the things Biden said in it is this about the MAGA Republicans, who, as far as I can tell, constitute the vast majority of Republicans. Biden said they promote authoritarian leaders. They fan the flames of political violence that are a threat to our personal rights, to the pursuit of justice, to the rule of law, to the very soul of this country. They have made their choice. They embrace anger. They thrive on chaos. They live not in the light of truth, but in the shadow of lies. With all of that, I heartily concur. Tom Nichols picks up on that and says of MAGA, it has no functional compass and no set of actual preferences beyond a generalized resentment, basket of gripes and grudges against others who they think are looking down on them or living better lives than they are. Now, right there is the sense I get of this angry, aggrieved people. And when you look at the Republican Party and what it's become, it is not a party that you can identify any policy with. It's not about policy anymore. It's a cult of personality in pursuit of one thing: power. That's it. And policy has nothing to do with it, but stoking more grievance and anger has everything to do with it. So what's it about? A basket of gripes, generalized resentment, the sense that they're being somehow looked down upon. And then Nichols points this out, and it needs to be said over and over again. However, it is a movement composed of people who are generally economically comfortable and middle class, who enjoy a relatively high standard of living, and yet who seethe with a sense that they have been done dirt, screwed over, betrayed, and what they want is revenge. So what Biden did in his speech, this unprecedented speech, saying what no other president has said or no president is supposed to say. Of all people, Joe Biden in that speech admitted he was giving up on trying to talk to, accommodate a whole group of Americans because there's no point to it. Because he understands, he gets it, finally, that they do not want to be accommodated. Now, a lot of people say, well, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't write them off, you have to keep trying to engage them. Yes, you do, you've got to try to reach them. But how do you reach people who do not want to talk to you about it? They don't want compromise. They don't want a discussion. They want to vent. They want to vent their anger, their resentments. And they will resort to violence to do it. How do any of us, Nichols asks, especially the president, engage with such a movement? Think of this, a movement of what? It's like a movement of tantrum throwers. You cannot engage with a group that holds firmly to the belief that the only legitimate outcome is if they win. that there's the bottom line. You can't. More bit of verbiage from Mr. Nichols. The MAGA movement isn't interested in politics or policies or compromise. It is interested in destruction and seeing others made as miserable as its followers are. MAGA is a movement of people who seem to be, in so many ways, deeply and profoundly unhappy and suffering from an emptiness and anger deep in their spirit. There's no political solution for that. All Joe Biden did was finally say this obvious truth out loud. And yet here they are. You know, I was taken by the difference in our system and the Brits, in that they have had a transfer of power in the last day, and they have a house that the Prime Minister lives in, Blair House, not number 10 Downing, like the White House. And I don't know if Truss has already moved in, but it seems like it happens very quickly. And the only thing that stays the same is there's a staff that runs the House. So they're there. That's the permanence there. And that would be true pretty much in the White House as well. But there's another thing they have that I just love. Larry. A cat. Larry the cat. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's a great looking cat. Big Tom. And yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, when things were turning around, he walked out the front door of number 10, as he does, and he was sort of like lying in the street. He wanders around. He's so used to the photographers and everybody. He's king of number 10. He is a permanent fixture at number 10. So prime ministers come and go, but Larry stays. He was taken in by the staff at one point as a rescue and to help with a little bit of a mouse problem. And there he has stayed. Truss is his fourth prime minister. And I was thinking, damn, that's what the White House needs. That is so cool. The White House needs an animal that comes with the house, that stays with the house. It could have peed on Donald Trump's Big Mac. I don't know. It just seems like such a good idea. So Larry the cat's been there for 10 years. Man. And, you know, some prime ministers come in and they have pets of their own. And those pets have got to accommodate to the fact that they're entering Larry's territory. I love it. I don't know how Larry escaped my notice before, but there he is. Hey, and speaking of Truss, I'm seeing that she is appointing essentially her cabinet, and everyone's freaking out because there are no white men in the top 4 positions. And it's interesting because you can imagine what the MAGA crowd would make of that. Yeah, they shall not replace us. Well, Liz Truss just did. And Liz Truss, understand, is an exceedingly conservative, hawkish, I'm going to suggest probably not a very great leader, because the politics and the government of the UK are pretty much as screwed up as ours. They would say not as screwed up, but that might be true. But so here you even get a very conservative government, and white men are out of all major positions in the cabinet. Well, that'll make the MAGA guys start crying. You see, it's one thing after another. They're after us. We're under attack. Steve Bannon apparently is going to get indicted again today. My God. Wow. What a slimy bunch. You can't make it up. I used to think nobody would be, if you ever notice that when a Republican administration is finished, the number of indictments and criminal activity and jail sentences, I'm thinking it was true, God knows, Nixon. But Reagan had quite a bit. I mean, not the Democrats don't. Occasion, but man, you can't make up the sliminess of Trump and his hangers on. So Bannon, I guess, from what I understand, this one is about the thing that Trump pardoned him for. That was a scam. He made off with $1 million in a private build the wall thing that he did with some other grifters, and he was indicted in a federal case. And Trump, in his last day or two, pardoned Bannon. But it turns out that the Southern District of New York, I guess, I don't know if this is an absolute certainty that this is what the indictment is about, but that they are still looking at indicting him. And I think that's what this is about, for essentially the same thing, because he did it there and they can bring state charges. And that pardon is not going to cover a state charge. So I don't know. I keep seeing that he's either going to surrender today or tomorrow. It doesn't matter. I'll stop. I mean, how many times can you use the same adjectives over and over and over and over again? Oh, yeah. Oh, I have to share this with you. I came upon, in this era of hyperbolic, generally hyperbolic reaction to almost anything. Everybody squawking, screaming, yelling. Understatement is something that you do not encounter very often. Understatement is not likely to get you any attention these days. But someone in an official capacity said something in an extremely an understated way by my assessment. And it did catch my eye, I guess, because it seemed so understated. Let me find it. It's, it's not a happy story. It is actually a story involving the death of a 58-year-old Pennsylvania woman who was on some kind of a cruise in the Bahamas, and she went snorkeling, and a shark got her. Killed her. That was it. She got killed by a shark. That does not happen a lot. But I don't know where she's from in Pennsylvania. I just saw it. It says the incident involved a 58-year-old woman from Pennsylvania and occurred at a popular snorkeling spot near Green Cay in the northern Bahamas. And it was the spokeswoman for Chief Superintendent Lynn Skipping who has the quote that caught my eye. When asked by the Associated Press for comment, the spokeswoman for the Chief Superintendent, Lynn Skipping, said, "It's unfortunate." Yes. A woman's on vacation. She goes snorkeling in the lovely, warm waters of the Bahamas, and she gets ripped apart by a shark. You can't disagree. It's definitely unfortunate. Okay, guys, let's see. So now, I think it's the New York Times that had the piece today, or was it the Post? It doesn't matter. That one of the documents, one of the top secret documents that they found in Trump's house was a document that was, so top secret that there are very few people even in the government that would have had access to it. It involved the nuclear capabilities of unnamed foreign country. This is as top secret as it gets. And this is one of the ones that Trump was just kept holding on to, even though it was not his. He stole it. So he's got stolen national security nuclear secrets. And there is, you cannot begin to how the heck he hasn't been perp walked out of Mar-a-Lago is unbelievable. This is flat out. This will land and has to land him in jail. Lock him up. Lock him up. This ain't anything like what they were freaking out about Hillary Clinton. Nothing. It's not even apples and oranges. It's apples and transistor radios. I don't know. That came up. You have a former Secretary of Defense in a Republican administration, William Cohen, who has said now that Donald Trump is a clear and present threat. I've been saying that for a long time. Clear and present threat to democracy. This is a guy who held the Secretary of Defense of this country position in a Republican administration. And he says Trump is a clear and present danger. And the fact that he was, and who knows, may still be, in possession of classified documents revealing nuclear capabilities is more than enough of an offense to subject him to criminal prosecution. And that's from a guy who really knows. Oh, wait a minute. No, he was a Republican. He wasn't. Yeah. I was trying to think, wait, who was he defense secretary for? He was a Republican congressman who became the Secretary of Defense for Clinton. Okay. But he's a Republican. And he's right. And another interesting thing is some people on the left side, liberal groups, have been saying that Trump needs to be not only indicted, he needs to be told that he is unable to ever hold elected office of any kind in this country again. And why is that? Because of the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment has in it a little section, actually Section 3, and it says in part this: no person shall hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who having previously taken an oath to support the Constitution had then engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. That right there should stop him from running again, even if the Republican voters and his crazed base say they want him. He is so clearly in violation of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, as are a whole bunch of other people, including the guy running to be governor of this state. And finally, a guy who was there January 6th, who does hold an elected office. He's a county commissioner in New Mexico. Well, damn if a judge didn't invoke this with him and removed that jerk from office. This is the guy who was the founder of Cowboys for Trump. And he was convicted because of his actions on January 6th. And the judge in his home state, a New Mexico district judge, said that what he did constitutionally disqualifies him from continuing to serve or from serving in the future. And so that guy is out. Take his little cowboy hat and his spurs and leave. So it's good to see that someone finally made use of that constitutional provision. This might not seem as big a deal, but it's a big deal locally, and it's something that I've become aware of, and I think I've mentioned it to you. And anyone who lives anywhere around the big extraordinary parks in the city of Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh is unusual in urban America in having these extraordinary, like Schenley and Frick, especially. Just extraordinary parks, wild parks. And many people who live in the city live relatively close to one, myself included. And as a result, I now, having lived where I live for almost 30 years, I've been in this house, something is happening that didn't used to happen. And that is deer are coming, a deer in my yard, my little teeny yard. And to get to my yard, they got to walk up steps. I can't, I'm in a little top of a hill and set back, and not that I'm that close enough, I guess, to Frick. And it's upsetting to see them walking down. I saw one the other day walking down Stanton Avenue with 3 little fawns. And it's upsetting. It's out of place. In an urban setting, they are in obvious danger. And for that matter, if you're in a car and you were to hit one, you could be in danger in that regard. But I'm thinking more of them. Now, granted, they've eaten all my hosta and some of my ferns and munched on tons of other plants that I had just planted. That is not, it got my attention. There's no doubt about it. But it got me asking questions. Well, obviously they're hungry. And they're now foraging farther and farther afield. And there's got to be more of them than ever before, because I've never seen, and everyone I talk to says the same thing. Oh, yeah, I saw them walking up Fifth Avenue. It ain't right. But then I came upon something that scared me, really upset me. I will share it with you. Because, guys, this is one of those things. Well, I don't know why we're always so slow to react, to do something. Why do things have to become truly horrific crises before we act? Here's some information. In 2010, the city commissioned a deer count in the parks. And that 2010 count, so what is that? That's, 12 years ago, found that the population of deer in Frick and Schenley, especially, was too high. And, in fact, not sustainable for the habitat. That number of deer was going to have a detrimental impact on the park. Not a damn thing was done. So 12 years later, as far as they can tell, Schenley Park now has as much as 64 times the number of deer it had in 2010, when it was judged to be not sustainable. 64 times the number of deer. So, it's not sustainable for the deer. There's not enough for them to eat. And nothing is preventing them from continuing to grow in number, because we are not taking action. Now, they have no natural predators. And quite clearly, there is no political will to address this issue. And I think no public will. I haven't heard a big outcry. Everybody just seems to say, well, I know. You seen those deer walking down Walnut Street? Yeah. Yeah, I saw one go into the Starbucks. I mean, it's just like we just, okay. And there are people who study such stuff. There's a Pitt professor named Walter Carson who has been really looking, I got to have him on the show, who has been really looking at it. He says it's long past time. And in fact, the damage already done to Schenley and Frick and also Riverview is getting close to being irreversible. So here we go again. It's sort of like, warning, warning, climate is warming up and it's going to have terrible impact, and all of a sudden this is going to happen and that's going to happen, and we didn't do a damn thing. There is no way for Schenley Park, Frick Park, and Riverview Park, these wondrous expanses, to survive the current deer population. Here's what the professor says. Just about all that's left, even right now in Schenley, are invasive plants. They've eaten everything else. Invasive plants like saltgrass and grapevines. You've seen those grapevine things. They're all over everything. And they actually end up choking out trees and prevent anything else from growing. So heading into the winter, I mean, if in this, I'm not going to have the buffet I have for them right now out there in the winter. During the winter, the food they can eat is really reduced. So they start eating the twigs. So something that would be a hickory tree is never going to be a hickory tree because it will be eaten. I can actually see it here. Some of the plants that they've eaten of mine, they wait, and the plants, God bless them, they regenerate and they put out new leaves and they grow back. And the deer somehow know, okay, well, we hit that place. We'll give it 3 weeks, 4 weeks, let it grow a little more. We'll come back and do it again. And that is what they do. So I want you to know that I saw this. It's true. And the glories of these parks are right now under extraordinary threat, and we are doing nothing. Now, I'm an animal lover, and I love deer. They're beautiful to me. But you know what? They're going to stop. They're going to. I hate to think there's nowhere near enough food there to sustain them. They will eat Schenley Park, Frick Park, Riverside Park, and they're still going to die. We'll have no park. And all this because we don't have, I don't know what, the will, the attention span, the ability to engage in proactive solutions. It ain't proactive anymore. It's reactive. And we aren't even reacting. We're not even reacting. Unbelievable. You know what we're doing? We're adjusting. That's what I hear people, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, it never used to be, but oh, yeah, we'll just adjust. Well, fine. You just keep adjusting, and that extraordinary wonder, those extraordinary parks are being destroyed. Okay, just saying. I wanted to bring that to your attention. I found it extremely upsetting. I had no idea. I really didn't. I had no idea that the damage to the parks was that great. What do I know? I walk around and it's green. And the big trees, they can't eat those. But what they're doing is they're eating the little trees that the big trees are trying to make to replace them. So once those big trees, and they are going down the big trees, there ain't going to be any trees. Can you imagine? Okay, Schenley, no trees. Give it 10 years, 20 years. Unbelievable. So, Ruth has sent me something. I can't open it, Ruth. Says that Mastriano is putting his transition team to work. His transition to what? Jail? His transition to what? I'll tell you. In as much as I like to think I do not engage in denial, I definitely am engaging in denial in regarding the possibility that Doug Mastriano could win. I can't even imagine. I mean, I can't go there. It terrifies me. I got a caller. Woo! Hello.
I was just about to email you and tell you had a caller. This is Kurt in Swissvale.
Hi, Kurt.
Well, you got me thinking on deer because they've certainly, I guess I'm on the other side of Frick Park from you, but they've certainly done a number on my yard this year, much more than usual. I mean, they ate the blooms off my orange wild daylilies, which, I didn't think they ever ate those.
They eat anything. That's what I'm finding out. I've been told because I've talked to an arborist and a landscaper, and they say, all these things we were told were deer resistant. It's bullshit. It's deer resistant if the deer got better stuff to eat. But if they don't, they'll eat anything.
Yeah, they definitely have their preferences because there are plants they haven't touched, but they have moved into new species this year. I mean, they never. My tomatoes are all the way inside the yard. I don't fence them or anything because I'm just not that dedicated fighting the wildlife. But they munch those down, so I don't have any tomatoes this year. A lot of blooms. No hostas are gone. Pretty well gone.
So what do we? So what do you think? I mean, did it ever occur to you that it's that bad? There's 64 times the number of deer there were in 2010, and in 2010 it was deemed to be a threat to the park.
Yeah, no, I never really thought of it that way. I mean, that's probably true because they have a limited space, and I'm sure they haven't quit breeding just because they're limited in space. I mean, I suppose sooner or later they would, but. I'm kind of hoping this year is worse because of the bridge.
I've heard a lot of folks say that because people have said it's because the Fern Hollow Bridge is down that they're crossing Forbes Avenue there now. Is that what you? Well, I don't know. Why would it impact you?
Well, that's not what I mean.
That's why they're coming. Okay, that's why they're coming.
A big section of the park is so full of human activity that they probably
I see.
Out of it. Yeah,
okay.
So I think they need new space, and once they get that space back, maybe they'll retreat a little bit and give us a couple years grace. But it'll probably continue to get worse. But this year it was. Just
I can't even imagine.
It was a big change this year. I thought, it wasn't incremental.
Yes.
It was a quantum kind of change. So.
Exactly. I mean, I have video of deer that I've chased off. I've got them running up the street. I've got deer in the headlights standing in my neighbor's driveway. And the other thing is that they're so used to sharing space with us now that they, a deer used to, like, if you approach them, they'd run. They don't.
No,
they do not run now.
Here, and I was across the street from Buck, and they kind of looked at me, and I kind of looked at them. And actually, I think I was more afraid of them because I thought, well, there's 4 of them, and they all have antlers. And if they came at me, so I'm not.
Well, that's right. That's right. I have a friend who walks in Frick all the time. She has a huge dog. I mean, she's got a Weimaraner, and she keeps bumping into deer that are like blocking the path that she and the dog are on. And that deer stares her and the dog down, will not move, won't be scared away by, clapping or anything. And she ends up having to detour.
Well, and it's everywhere. I was over at my brother's house in Murraysville Export, which is a little wilder, but it's a condo development, and there were under some little species tree in some condo's front yard were these 2 little fawns just sitting in the shade. And it was really cute because they were little and
they are so cute
and everything. They were adorable.
I know.
But they didn't care about the car. I looked at them, watched them through the car window for the longest time. I said, I'm going to roll down the window and take their picture. And as soon as I rolled down the window, they ran off. But yeah, it's not just.
This is not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And why aren't we dealing with it? Obviously, this whole thing. They're going to have to start. They're going to have to try to cull this herd or relocate or who used to kill them? Mountain lions? Who are their predator? What was the predator?
I guess probably Pennsylvania mountain lions and bobcats and. Whatever.
Well, how about I'm seeing foxes and stuff like that in the neighborhood now too that I didn't.
Foxes
used to see.
And the turkeys are back.
I know everybody's back.
It's kind of cool, but
it is cool. I mean, I now have more. I feel like I'm living in a wildlife refuge. In my, I can just sit and look out the window, and God knows what's going to walk by. But the overpopulation of the deer. I'm just wondering if we're supposed to, but if we bring like the mountain lions back, they'll also eat people's cats and dogs.
And things. I'm not sure that's a good plan.
Well, then what do we do? What do we do?
Yeah, I guess you got to cull them. I mean, what Mount Lebanon did it a couple of years ago and raised all the stink because people were shooting a poor defenseless deer. But and I agreed with that because it's like, well, the only reason you're shooting a deer is because they're eating your shrubbery. That doesn't seem like the right.
I know. I had the same.
There's something in the ecology of the park. I could get behind that a little more.
That's right, and that I also agree that I was quite willing to share. Have a deer buffet out here for them. It's no reason to kill them, but. Now that I find out that they could take down these jewels of this huge part of the city, of these beautiful parks, because, they're in the process of doing it. If you talk to these guys at the universities that are watching, they're raising alarm bells and nobody's listening.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'll figure it out sooner or later, but I'm still kind of hopeful they leave my yard alone a little bit more next year.
Okay.
The bridge, I guess, is getting pretty close to being done.
Yeah.
I don't. Do you have you heard a date on it being finished and open again?
End of the year.
Fern Hollow.
Yeah, a few months. It's getting there. It'll be amazing to be able to go. I know. Boy, it's really impacted my life and where I go or how long. It really has, because I mean I'm right there, and you and I are separated now, and it's not easy to get from place to place. It's true. So anyway, Hey, thanks for the call though. Nice hearing from you.
Oh,
I actually have another. I have another caller. Bye.
Oh, cool. Bye.
I know. Bye. Hello.
Are you talking to me?
I guess.
Hi. This is your friend Pat, and I never call. But a couple of months ago, I asked the lady down on the corner why her hostas look so nice all the time. She said, I cover them with netting. I had never heard of deer netting until she told me, as long as I've had a yard. But I've bought it from Amazon. It's Fattori deer fence netting. It is invisible.
What?
And you can cover your hostas and flowers with this netting, and so the deer can't get to it. Can't get to your plants.
What's it called again?
The brand name is Fattori, Feitore, but it's deer fence netting, 7 by 100 feet, bird netting, anti-bird deer protection net, reusable protective garden netting for plants, fruit trees, vegetables against birds, deer, and other animals. And it's not expensive. This I got was $20, $20.99 from Amazon, and it works. And it's my diplodemia look beautiful.
It's really, you said, like it's invisible? How's that possible?
Well, I mean, if you look real closely, you can see it. But I hadn't seen the neighbors until she pointed it out to me. So look that up. Fence netting on Amazon. Deer.
Are you kidding? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome. And I hope listeners like me who were ignorant will hear about this and order this deer. The only little problem is that a bird got caught in it once, and my neighbor came with scissors to get the bird out. But otherwise, it works just great. And I hope you get some.
I will. Okay. I'm on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye. Bye. I think we have another caller. God, who knew? Hello.
Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Lynn. I had no idea that you also have a deer problem. I happen to live in Hampton Township, and we've been in this house 32 years, and we've never had a deer problem like we do now. A couple of weeks ago, I called the township. I had 15 in my backyard. And
unbelievable.
We're very close to the woods, but last winter they ate holly bushes. They stripped them, and they're very jagged. And we have like a bank of white pine, and they're eating the pine trees. So I mean, I don't know. The township isn't willing to do anything, but I know your caller said, and that you might feel a little bit guilty about them eating shrubs, which this year I never even bought more perennials because it's pointless. I'm just throwing money away. But the fact of the matter is they're dangerous. As soon as it's twilight, they will jump right out in front of you.
Yeah. You mean if you're in your car?
If you're driving, yes.
No, I know, and that is true. It scares me driving, especially at night, knowing that
exactly
there could be a deer. Right.
As soon as the fall comes, and I think possibly, I don't know, are there young men that want to hunt anymore? Maybe that's part of the problem as well.
Well, but the hunters, obviously, it's not, they've been hunting for a long time, and all that's happened is the deer just keep growing. And you can't hunt in these parks, that we're talking about. I mean, maybe where you are, it's okay to hunt, but in the city, you can't hunt them. And we're now in a situation where, I mean, unbelievable. I don't know what we're supposed to do. Are we supposed to just let them eat everything in sight? We won't have forests anymore. I don't get it.
I mean, I don't know. Is there any possibility that they could use bow and arrow and maybe feed them to the homeless? Or
there you go. That's exactly what they should do. That sounds like a great idea.
Or, I mean, give them some form of birth control. I mean, it is just so out of control. And one of my neighbors said, "Oh, just get a big cowbell and go out there and ring it." Well, now they look at me like, "Who's that crazy woman ringing that bell?" That it doesn't even bother
them. They'll probably be knocking on the door pretty soon saying, "Hey, what's for dessert?"
But I mean, it's frightening to think they're in the city, because when you're out here, you know, for years, I mean, you're kind of aware in the fall that they could jump out. But I mean, you have to be super cautious.
I mean, I live in the city, and I actually live in. When I first saw, I couldn't believe. Somebody said, "Well, you know, I think maybe deer are eating that." I said, "How would a deer get up here?" That was just last year I said that. So, unbelievable.
The only solution I would think is, you know, to feed them to the homeless shelters or something.
That's a good idea. There should be some kind of program where then volunteers are willing to, I guess, kill and then get the meat. You know, that's a lot of work. I mean, that has to really be an organized thing, but it really could help a lot of people.
I think it possibly could. And your last caller was talking about the netting. I have used netting, and as far as hosted, that is like salad to them. And mine is torn through the netting. Now, I have used, I've used liquid fence. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. You spray your plants, but it is horrendous. The odor is horrible. And as soon as it rains, you have to go out and do it again.
Yeah. Well, no. No. And I always worry about any chemical stuff that it might harm other, living things. And I don't know, but I know we got a problem here that we are refusing to even. It's, instead of the elephant in the room, it's the deer. Deer in the yards and streets.
I could send you some wild turkeys because we have to.
I got them. This is so long ago. I looked out my front window and I saw the biggest bird I've ever seen. I thought, what the heck is that? And I didn't even register that it was a turkey for a while. And then I thought, I guess that is a turkey. And the only way I could make sure is I imagined it without the feet and the head, and it was a turkey. Yeah. And then it turned out there were two more. So no, I have turkeys. I got so much stuff here. It's like the zoo. It's a zoo.
Do you have squirrels and raccoons?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You have
squirrels, raccoons, woodchucks, a possum. Yeah, we got them all. Hawks, rabbits. Oh my God, there's so many rabbits you can't even. My dog doesn't even look at him anymore. He used to chase him, and now he says, rabbit.
Too many of them. And I used to feed the birds in the winter, and I no longer do that because it's just useless. They come down, they spin it around, and all the seeds are out, and then they're feasting out there. The deer love bird seed. So I don't know, but really and truly, something needs to be done.
Well, thank you. I'm glad. Look, I brought up this unspoken subject, and look at people called who never called, and we're in agreement. So let's do something. Anyway, hey,
I agree. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
I really enjoy your show. I look forward to it every day.
Thank you so much. Call
Take
again.
care.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. Bye-bye. Wow, that was surprising. Yeah, I don't know what we can do, but we gotta do something. All right. Well, I'm gonna go out and, I don't know, get some deer netting. I'll give it a shot. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Okay, bye-bye. Wow, that was surprising. Yeah, I don't know what we can do, but we gotta do something. Right. Well, I'm gonna go out and get some deer.
.504.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.